Sup guys, today we have a review of the SubZero Generation 8 guitar. So I've been trying to check on YouTube for any reviews of this thing before I bought it, and no proper reviews of it have been done. There's only a few guys played it, never a real review. The sound quality wasn't there, and the gear for music video, let's say, it wasn't presentable. So I decided to buy it. I wanted to see what it's gonna be. I was expecting some things to go wrong, like the nut to be wrong, the tuners to be wrong, especially the pickups to be wrong. But the only thing that's wrong, it's there. I'm gonna get to it, but I'm just gonna get all of the positive things out of the way. So the body itself is actually a pretty nice shape, very comfortable to play. It's got plenty of cutaways on the front, on the back, on the heels, both sides, on the front and the back. The upper frec access is ridiculous. It's really good. Absolutely no issues at all. So for soloing is absolutely great. The joint it actually sitting really well. There's just barely minimal space there on the sides, but on the bottom, you can see quite severe space in between the body and the neck. Obviously, it's very hard to see on the video, but it is there. Doesn't cause any issues though. It still sits in there just fine. Again, it's a 28-inch scale, so it's more like the Schecter C8, which is the basic Schecter 8-string that they do. Obviously, having a longer scale length is much better. The tuning, stability-wise, is really good. Sustain is great, and yeah, the nut has been the slots have been cut really well. The spacing of the strings is just right. There's no issues there. The neck itself feels much thinner than you would think it is. It's not as wide as an Ibanez, because of the way how the strings are closer to each other. It feels more like a 7-string than an 8-string. The neck profile feels very closely to an Ibanez RG8, just very tiny, mini, little bit thicker on the whole neck, but it's very comfortable. The neck is super fast. Absolutely doesn't stop you. There is absolutely nothing stopping you. So the movement is great. The tuners, the die-cast tuners, but they work really nicely. They are very smooth. They're holding tuning really well, because of the nut being cut well as well. The tuning itself doesn't go out of tune at all. The tuners do their job really well, which I'm quite surprised by. Obviously, it's the reverse headstock design, which is, for an 8-string, is a lot better, because the tension is much better on the low strings. It's a fixed bridge, and well, it's a fixed bridge, but it's actually a single rail. So like it's a rail for each individual string. It's a very comfortable. Works really well, no issues there. Three-way toggle switch works fine. Tone, volume, and 2 pickups, which in an Ibanez RG8, which I used to own, those pickups were horrendous, very muddy, mushy. But these have a lot of great low end, and the mid range it's really good. It's very punchy and trebly, so it's not muddy at all. I was really surprised by that. They gent really well, let's just say that. They're really good for that. I don't know if you want to upgrade for something better, but these are much better than you would think they are. You know, as you heard on the track, and you're gonna hear it on the pickup selections, with no mix, just me playing raw through them. You're gonna hear that especially for the lowest strings, they give a lot of punch to the sound. So all in all, it's a very good purchase. Guitar feels and plays very great. Now let's get to the bad point, and that's every single fret of this instrument. The fret job is quite bad, let's just say that. Everything around on the guitar is great, but the fret job is horrendous. Every single fret is sharp. It's not, obviously it is sharp and you feel it, but it's not sharp to a point where you're gonna have to stop playing. Like, you can kinda avoid, you know, having issues like that, because it does feel quite smooth, but you can feel that it's sharp, especially on this end. Every single fret is very sharp. The first fret here I had issues with. I had to knock it in because it was coming out. on the treble side, and it still is actually. It's not fully in. So I'm just gonna give it to a professional to do it for me, because I don't want to play around with frets. I don't want to mess something up. Yeah, so that's the main big issue here. Also the nut doesn't fit the hole that it's supposed to go in into, so it kind of sits on the outside of it against it really, and the spacing in between the nut and the neck is quite big. It's there. So I had to glue the nut on with a glue, and the nut is a little bit too wide. Still though, the slots are fine and everything else, but it's too wide, so it's coming out on this side a little bit too much. But these are the only two complaints really. Something that's fixable if you want to keep this guitar and keep playing it. Yeah, I definitely am. It really surprised me on how good it is. Just needs a fret job and maybe the adjustment to the nut just in case, but for now it's just pretty good. Nothing happens. The nut doesn't move, and the tuning holds well. So yeah, it's £200. That will make it about $230. 28-inch scale. I think that's the cheapest you can get when it comes to that scale length. So I do recommend that you buy it if you want something cheap and upgradable. Just keep in mind that the frets might be an issue. For me they are, which I'm going to fix once the pandemic is done. But yeah, well, thanks for watching. That's it for the video, and I'm gonna leave you with the sound samples for each pickup selection in clean and then distortion. Take care.